It was a quiet evening in late autumn, and the leaves outside my window rustled gently in the cool breeze. The dim light of my office lamp cast a soft glow across my desk, but the room felt cold and empty. I sat back in my chair, my hands trembling as I replayed the events of the last few months in my mind. I cheated on my wife, and now I was left to face the consequences of my actions. Sarah and I had been married for 10 wonderful years. She was my best friend, my confidante, and the love of my life. Together we had built a beautiful home, shared countless memories, and supported each other through every challenge life threw our way. Our relationship wasn't perfect, but it was strong, or so I thought. The beginning of the affair. It all began at a work conference in another city. I was excited about the opportunity, eager to network and learn. The first day was filled with presentations, workshops, and meetings. That evening, the conference organizers hosted a dinner at a nearby restaurant. That's where I met Emma. Emma was new to the company, vibrant and full of energy. We were seated at the same table, and our conversation flowed effortlessly. We talked about work, life, and everything in between. She laughed at my jokes, and for a moment I felt a connection I hadn't felt in a long time. It was intoxicating. After dinner, a group of us decided to continue the night at a nearby bar. The drinks kept coming, and so did the conversation. Emma and I found ourselves alone at a small table, the noise of the bar fading into the background as we focused solely on each other. It felt innocent at first, just two colleagues enjoying each other's company. But as the night wore on, the lines began to blur. Before I knew it, I was walking her back to her hotel room. One thing led to another, and I found myself in a situation I never imagined I'd be in. The guilt set in almost immediately, but I pushed it aside, convincing myself that it was a one-time lapse in judgment. When I returned home, things felt different. Sarah greeted me with her usual warmth, but I felt distant and detached. I told myself it was just guilt, that it would pass, and I could move on as if nothing had happened. But it didn't. The guilt grew, gnawing at my conscience. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and every time Sarah looked at me with love and trust, I felt like a fraud. Sarah began to notice the change. "Daniel, are you okay?" she asked one evening as we sat on the couch. "You've been distant lately." "I'm fine," I lied, forcing a smile. But I wasn't fine. I was drowning in my own guilt and shame. The confession. Weeks passed and the weight of my secret became unbearable. I knew I had to tell Sarah the truth. One evening, as she was preparing dinner, I mustered the courage to confess. "Sarah, we need to talk," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. She turned to face me, concern etched across her face. What is it? I took a deep breath, my heart pounding in my chest. I've done something terrible. I cheated on you. For a moment there was silence. The world seemed to stop as she processed my words. Her eyes filled with tears and her hands trembled. Why? She whispered, her voice cracking with emotion. I don't know, I admitted, my own eyes welling up with tears. I was weak, and I made a mistake. I'm so sorry, Sarah. She said nothing more, simply grabbed her coat and left the house. I sat alone in the deafening silence, the gravity of my actions sinking in. The fallout. Sarah stayed with her sister that night. The house felt empty without her. The next day I tried calling, texting, but she needed space. I couldn't blame her. I had shattered her trust and broken the bond we had built over a decade. I sought solace in therapy, hoping to understand why I had strayed and how I could make amends. My therapist helped me see that my actions were rooted in deeper issues. Feelings of inadequacy, unaddressed insecurities, and a failure to communicate my needs within my marriage. The road to redemption. After a few weeks, Sarah agreed to meet me. We sat across from each other in a small cafe, the tension between us palpable. I've been going to therapy, I began. I'm trying to understand why I did what I did, and how I can be a better person. Sarah listened, her expression unreadable. I need time, she said finally. Time to process, to heal, and to figure out if I can ever trust you again. I understand, I said, tears brimming in my eyes. I'll do whatever it takes to make things right. We began attending couples counseling, slowly working through the pain and betrayal. It wasn't easy. There were days when the anger and hurt threatened to tear us apart again. But there were also moments of hope, moments when I saw glimpses of the love we once shared. The lesson learned. This experience has been the most challenging of my life, but it has also been the most enlightening. I learned the importance of honesty, communication, and the devastating impact of betrayal. Love isn't something to be taken for granted. It requires effort, commitment, and a willingness to face difficult truths. Sarah and I are still on the journey of healing. We've had setbacks, but we've also made progress. I am grateful every day for the chance to rebuild what I broke, and I am determined to be the husband Sarah deserves. Cheating was the worst mistake of my life, but it taught me invaluable lessons about love, trust, and the power of redemption.